Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. This is the penultimate round of Season 2 for the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix at the Jeddah circuit. Heading into this one, we are leading the championship for the first time, and things are looking very good for us, except the reliability of our control electronics. We're going to take a grid penalty with only 2 races to go. And with us right in the midst of a championship fight, we cannot afford a failure, and our 2 components were both very worn out. I think one was over 50%, the other was over 60%. I don't know where the sort of threshold is before they're more likely to fail, but either way, I think with the control electronics, the more worn out they are, the faster it wears out the other components as well. So yeah, we might as well put a fresh one in. We'll take a 10th place grid penalty for this race, and yeah, we'll just have to work with that. But this is a pretty good circuit for overtaking, so I think we can make up for it. But anyway, you can see with me progressing through Q1 and 2 fairly easily. We actually topped Q2, so we are a decent chance of pole position. We'll lose it to the grid penalty, but after our first flyer in Q3, it wasn't really good enough, and we're down in 8th position with our teammate in 9th, so we'll have to go again for another flyer, and we'll see what we can do on our second lap. You can see purple to the first 2 sectors, and finding massive amounts of time. Too deep though into the final corner, though to be fair we don't really lose much time over our banker lap. And now with the DRS open, we head towards the finish line, and surely this lap will be pole position. Jeff's happy with it, so this will be a very strong lap time. Let's see where it puts us in the order.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. The Scientist, Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Goodbye for now then, but we're really just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
And there we have it. It is pole position, so we will be starting 11th at worst. It depends what other people get in terms of grid penalties, so it may not even be that bad. I guess we'll just have to wait and see when we get to the grid, but we've given ourselves the best opportunity, so let's get into it.
So here we are then, welcoming you today to one of the jewels of the Arab world, Jeddah. One of the biggest cities in Saudi Arabia, second only to Riyadh, gateway to Mecca, and one of the biggest ports in the region. And now, host to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. An interesting circuit this one, the newest on the Formula 1 calendar, and like most street circuits, it's sure to present the drivers with an interesting technical challenge. Some challenging turns for the drivers to negotiate as well, and at the same time they're going to have to manage their tyres very carefully in this heat. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. We have a really close scrap at the top of the championship at the moment, and they're right in the thick of it. But any mistake now could be disastrous.
True enough, but that pressure goes both ways. A failure or a mistake at this point could spell the end of their championship hopes, but they know their rivals are in exactly the same situation. Let's just hope the title is decided in the purest of ways.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Perez, Yuki TSUNODA, and Mazepin. The Scientist, Ocon, Hamilton, and Fernando Alonso. Matsushita, Sainz, Lance Stroll, and Verstappen, Russell, Latifi, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Valtteri Bottas, Gasly, Mick Schumacher, Raikkonen, and Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
I won't let you down. Not now, because we have a lot of work to do if we want to have any chance in the Constructors' Championship. Things are... we've got a decent chance today of scoring good points in the Constructors. Yuki TSUNODA's gained a bunch of grid slots. Ours isn't too bad, so yeah, we have a good chance to score big points today, so we need to maximize. 5 red lights and away we go for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's a great start by both Tsunoda and Perez. We get a decent one as well as we try and head around the outside of Mazepin early on the brakes, but we bunch up into the first and second corner and we will get past Mazepin. There's a bit of contact going on there between us as well as Mazepin, Matsushita there as well, but we've made that one work and moved ourselves ahead of Nikita Mazepin up into 6th position off the start, so gaining there with Yuki TSUNODA right in front of us, just tucked in behind Daniel Ricciardo, and we're all over the place here. We've got no rhythm at the start of this one, but we eventually sort ourselves out and we'll focus once again on the back of Daniel Ricciardo, and you can already see we're closing up to Yuki TSUNODA, who's right under the rear wing of Daniel Ricciardo. But yeah, we're already closing up once again. Replay of the start and perfect conversion off the line for Charles Leclerc, and he goes soaring into the lead as he enters turn 1. Very good cushion behind him to Lando Norris and Sergio Perez, who went from 4th and is now fighting for 2nd, side by side with Lando Norris in the background there, and here they are still fighting it out, but Lando Norris looks like he just got ahead there, and in fact he has. So Lando Norris up into 2nd position, or holds on to 2nd position. Perez still gaining a spot off the grid and moves himself up into 3rd, so that is the front of the field at the start. But now back to our POV, and we are under fire from Nikita Mazepin at the same time as we're trying to chase down Yuki TSUNODA, and we get a good exit out of turn 2, and we'll see what we can do. Can we make a move maybe to the inside? TSUNODA defends, we'll go to the outside and we'll sweep around and take that position and move ourselves ahead of Yuki TSUNODA and leave him to fend off Nikita Mazepin in the Mercedes behind. And unfortunately, not long after that, a few laps later, Yuki TSUNODA made a pit stop and got a new front wing on. I don't know when he got the damage. I couldn't find it on the replays. It wasn't at the start of the race or on that same lap. So yeah, I don't know exactly when that happened, but at some point TSUNODA got damaged and he chose to replace it. But we continue on, and that was a dive on Danny Rick into the banking there, and we got that move done. Meanwhile, up ahead, Lando Norris and Sergio Perez are fighting away amongst themselves. Sergio Perez trying to go around the outside of Lando Norris, and he might actually get a decent bit of traction here versus the Brit, and Sergio Perez might be able to get through. Lando Norris still holding it, and Norris maintains the position, but Sergio Perez is looking very, very quick. And in fact, now he goes to move along in a straight line, gets through on Lando Norris. We go for a look up the inside. Very late move, so close to the wall on the inside. Maybe a bit of contact with Lando on the outside, but that was such fine margins there.
Nice move, good job.
And we managed to pick the gap and take that position, but that was a super aggressive and late dive. But we got the job done on the exit of turn 2 with Norris on the title line. It's very difficult to get a good exit in that way. But here's the onboard with Daniel Ricciardo, and you can see just how close that was to the inside wall, and there's the bit of contact with Norris as well. Nothing too crazy, so I don't think that will be slowing either of us down. I don't think there was any damage done, so that means we can just push on, and that we are doing as we got the move done on Sergio Perez, although the Mexican driver will come back at us as we head towards the apexes of turn 1 and 2. Sergio Perez back through briefly, but once again we go for a big dive up the inside and we maintain the position. So that it's been...
Be careful, we think you're going to start losing some tyre grip around now.
A very good start to this race in the opening stanza. We have moved our way all the way up into 2nd with Charles Leclerc a little way up the road, and he will be a tough one to beat today, I think. Charles Leclerc, he is looking very, very strong, and he's already got that sort of margin out to us. But our advantage is that we have a one-stop strategy as opposed to a two-stop. But strangely enough, we're only pitting onto our mediums 2 laps later than Leclerc's first pit stop. So it really is not a difficult task to stretch the soft tyres then. Only 2 more laps.
To speed now. Let's get some heat into those tyres.
So now we rejoin the circuit, and we will be obviously behind Charles Leclerc, and we only just come out in front of Lando Norris. but still we are able to make good pace. But anyway, fighting away now with Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton not able to make the move, but we had to fend him off there, and he's still putting the pressure on. So Lewis Hamilton looking quick at this phase of the race as he goes past on the right hand side. We go for a big dive up the inside. No, we're going to just stay back for the time being. And now
Hamilton is ahead of you. They're on old softs. Their tyres are 13 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1:32.2.
Oh, Hamilton has another stop anyway, so we're actually not in the same race as Lewis Hamilton. We don't really need to fight him, so we're not going to. We'll just let him go on his way. And he will eventually make a pit stop, and we will take take second position when he pits, and take the lead when Charles Leclerc pits, both of which are happening right now, which moves us up into the top position, first place at the moment on currently lap 33.
P1, Leclerc behind. They've entered the pit lane. They're on fresh mediums.
So Leclerc will be coming at us on brand new tyres very shortly, but right now Nicholas Latifi retires from the race with a mechanical failure. Unfortunate for the Canadian, but he will not finish the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in the Williams there. So he is out as we don't re-emerge. Russell re-emerges from the pit lane alongside us. Thankfully he will stay out of the way, and that will not become an issue, but we continue on. Leclerc gets through on the left hand side.
Try to stay with him, he might make a mistake. We could still regain the position.
So we go for a big dive back up, and we get back ahead of Charles Leclerc, and he will be hoping that he will complete the move in maybe a different part of the circuit, because as we know from the real life race here, being overtaken in that section is not actually a bad thing, because you have the DRS along the main straight, and once again we are able to hold off Charles Leclerc there. But as we continue on, Leclerc gets back through as he had the DRS along the straight. Big dive up the inside once again, and we're going to go for the switchback this time through turn 2. Good traction on the exit, and now we will make the move around the outside of Charles Leclerc, and we should be able to get this done, and we do, just about keeping it on the road there, and we get through back into the lead of the race. But Charles Leclerc coming back down the inside into the hairpin once again. This is Leclerc's end of the circuit. He's so strong through
the position. Try to keep focus.
that part just prior to the final hairpin, but nonetheless he continued to push on and find time in other parts of the lap, and we make the move on Charles Leclerc once again to retake the lead after he tried his best to take that from us. Continuing on again then, Leclerc through once again quite early this time.
You can win that place back.
So this will be a little bit trickier to regain, but once again down towards turn 1 and 2 we get the move done, and we maintain the lead of the race. Meanwhile behind us we've got Sergio Perez making the move on Lando Norris as Perez goes to the outside. Norris defends it to the inside. Perez is going to be late on the brakes. Is he going to be able to close it off? Not quite. And Norris still keeps the nose in as he goes around the outside of turn 2. Still keeps the nose in, and now they're side by side as they head towards the next chicane. Sergio Perez though eventually gets ahead and moves himself up into 4th position. Norris down to 5th as we are still in defensive mode with Charles Leclerc looking around the outside as we are late on the brakes on the left, and Charles Leclerc is able to get through. Nonetheless, we couldn't quite go full send on the inside, so yeah, we'll need to regain this one, and once again with the slipstream and DRS we just blow straight past Charles Leclerc and move ourselves into the lead of the race once again. So yeah, we are in a good position for the most part, but at some point we need to be able to stop Leclerc from getting past in the first place, as we are giving him a little bit of light contact there, but nonetheless we're able to continue. No damage done, and we get the DRS and still make
okay, you're catching the car ahead, but remember we need to get to the end of the race on these tyres.
we'll still make the overtake work as we get back ahead of Charles Leclerc, and now Lewis Hamilton getting involved as well, and Hamilton's through, so Hamilton up into 2nd position now. Leclerc down to 3rd, so Lewis Hamilton getting involved in the party now too. We've got a battle going on here between Carlos Sainz, Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen, with Kimi Räikkönen there as well. A lap down, he gets out of the way, but not before holding up Sainz. And now they're 3 wide, and it looks like Ricciardo's going to get through on the inside. He gets a very slow run though through turn 2, and Sainz holds onto position as now Verstappen and Ricciardo go wheel to wheel, and Verstappen gets through. So Verstappen gaining a place out of all that. Sainz holding station, and Ricciardo dropping a spot after that exchange with Nikita Mazepin just up the road. Verstappen might be looking to gain another couple of positions as well. Continue on though, back on board. We're still fighting away and in full defensive mode, trying to hold this position, and we're doing a decent job of it so far. Just able to hold on for the most part, but Hamilton is equally as fast as Leclerc was, and it's taking a lot to keep all of these guys behind. So as we continue to push on, it's going to it's not going to get any easier depending on who's behind us. It's a tough order no matter which way you look at it. So yeah, we still once again managed to hold on to the position, re-overtaking with the power of the DRS once again, as we now look at who's this? This is Max Verstappen getting past Carlos Sainz, and he will gain that spot if he can get it done on the exit here, and that's another position for Max Verstappen, and he gets the job done there and moves himself up another spot. So looking good for Max Verstappen. I think he's up to about 6th position now, or maybe 7th actually, but whatever it is, he's in a good spot. But we're on board with Hamilton, and he just made a bit of contact with us there. You might have seen in a very brief clip a moment ago that Hamilton was heading into the pit lane, and that is the reason why, because he made a very light contact with us, and that's damaged the front wing of the Mercedes car. So Lewis Hamilton in the pits for a new front wing, and that sends him tumbling down the order in the late stages of this race. Let's see what he can recover, but that has ruined his chance of a podium for sure. So yeah, that's no fun for Lewis Hamilton. Meanwhile, we're still defending from Charles Leclerc, who has not given up in this race. He is still right behind us, and we need to make sure we're absolutely maximizing everything we have on this final lap of the race. And for once we can cross the control line first as we head on to this final lap. So that's promising that we can actually do that, but we need to put in one mega lap if we want to maintain the lead. Otherwise Leclerc is going to get past us before the final corner, and we may not have a chance to re-overtake him. So we'll see what we can do as we now head through the first sector of the final lap, getting through here quite well actually, probably as good as we have at any other point in the race, and that has given us a green first sector, so that's good. That's a good solid start to this final lap. We need to make sure that we do not make any mistakes on this final lap, and make sure we have a buffer to Leclerc as big as we possibly can by the time we get to the final corner. But while we're doing that, in the fight behind us, Max Verstappen is now scrapping away with Nikita Mazepin, and Max Verstappen will, I think, get through here. Mazepin still trying to keep the nose in on the inside, but Verstappen will get through, and Mazepin will drop that spot. And meanwhile, just in behind that, Lewis Hamilton is putting the pressure on Daniel Ricciardo, so the McLaren's dropping backwards in general, with Perez passing Norris and Ricciardo losing a few spots as well, potentially losing another one here to Hamilton, although Hamilton was ahead to begin with before he had to make that stop. So I guess it sort of works out even in that one. But yeah, Hamilton putting the pressure on. He did get a bit held up by the lap traffic there, so that could save Ricciardo from Hamilton, who's got brand new tyres, and he will very likely get the fastest lap of the race now, will Lewis Hamilton. So we won't need to worry about that affecting the championship fight. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton putting the pressure on Ricciardo as they head through this very, very quick back section of the circuit. And Hamilton's just inching closer and closer through every corner, and surely it's only a matter of time before he gets through as he continues to sit right behind Ricciardo. And now let's see, can he make a move into this braking lane here? No, you can't quite get close enough. So it's going to be into the hairpin surely for Lewis Hamilton. We've been watching this battle for almost a lap now, but they're coming towards the final corner. Surely this is the spot for Hamilton to make the move on Ricciardo, and it is. And Hamilton is through, and he makes that one stick and move himself ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. So with the McLarens dropping back and the Red Bulls moving forward, that's kind of a neutral for us overall, because it brings us closer to the championship lead, but further away from second place. So I'm not sure if that's really a good thing or not. I guess we'll find out when it comes to the final round where we end up finishing. But we hold off Leclerc for the final time, and we will have enough in the tank to come towards the finish line to win the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix.
Lick the stamp and sense it.
And that is a
Superb driving. That's the race win.
very appropriate radio message to have picked for this one. We did send it at the final corner and the first corner many times throughout this one.
Here we are then, a real team effort to overcome their rivals for a memorable win here today. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Welcome then to the podium, our top three drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race.
So we win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Second place goes to Charles Leclerc, with Sergio Perez in third.
Scientist increases their championship lead. Some amazing talents out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. No change in the top spot, but with today's points, their hold on the lead is getting weaker. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, that brings an end to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, and that was a fairly interesting one overall. Coming away with maximum points for us, no points for TSUNODA. Unfortunately, he finished 11th. Fairly decent recovery after having that early front wing change, but yeah, not ideal nonetheless. And yeah, in the end, we don't have as many points coming out of this weekend as we perhaps could have if TSUNODA made it if TSUNODA finished in the points. But yeah, so I think the Constructors' Championship is out of the question. I don't think we're really in the fight for that. Mathematically, yes, we still can. We're 40 points away from McLaren, so you know we'd need a 1-3, and for McLaren to have a no score in Abu Dhabi is very unlikely. And on top of that, we also need to outscore Red Bull by 15 points or so. So yeah, the Constructors isn't really a huge chance for us, but I guess it's always a possibility. You never know, crazy things can happen. But yeah, as for the Drivers' Championship, we head into the final round with a 16-point lead over Max Verstappen, so that's fantastic. That will give us a bit of a comfort zone behind, so we don't need to win the final race or even necessarily get a podium. We only need 10 points or 11 if we just want to be safe with it to make sure we win the championship. And I think 11 points is a 5th place finish and a fastest lap. So yeah, it shouldn't be a hugely difficult task, but I'm saying that now. Not when in Abu Dhabi when we're actually lining up on the grid ready to race. But anyway, Yeah. What else do we say about this race? It's just myself and Verstappen in the championship fight now. Mathematically, Norris and Ricciardo are not a chance anymore. And yeah, same with the constructors. I think it's just us, Red Bull and McLaren, no one else in contention. So yeah, that is the outlook as we now look forward to the final round. So let's just get into the interviews.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. How do you feel these grid penalties are affecting the sport?
I think they're a good thing to have. Reliability is very important, and they ensure that the teams work on their reliability and make sure that, you know, we keep things as sustainable and reliable as possible. So yeah, I think they're important.
You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
Yeah, we managed to make a decent start, and the first into the race on the soft tyres felt really good. We were able to make overtakes, and then at the end we held on to the position that we put ourselves in. So yeah, we did manage to gain quite a lot in that race, and the strategy certainly helped out with that as well. The one stop, that was a good choice.
You performed better than last weekend. What changed?
The track, mostly. Yeah, for some reason last weekend I could just never get a rhythm, but here I was feeling really good. So
Your team must be ecstatic with how you're performing.
yeah, it's been a really great run of form for us as a team recently, ever since the summer break.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Thank you. Or the winter break for the southern hemisphereans. We'll go with that. We are leading Verstappen in our rivalry, 13 points to 11 at the moment, so that is all looking good. Acclaim is rolling in. We're inching closer to level 21, so we'll probably get that one next time out. But yeah, there are the sponsor objectives. We pass all of those for this round.
Very robust right now. It's time for you to have a think about our profit margin and what areas of the operation might benefit from that money.
And now we have to renew two of our sponsorships, one with the XER and one with PSD. We renew both of those. And in a flash, it's suddenly gotten very windy and rainy outside. It's literally been like a few seconds since the last little audio clip, and yeah, apologies if it picks any of that up, but yeah, anyway, we're going to go for the weight training for Yuki TSUNODA. We need him to be at his absolute best in the season finale if we want any chance of the Constructors' Championship, so for obvious reasons we are going for that. You can see I was considering a facility upgrade, but in the end I decided to save the money. I was actually originally planning to end the series after the final round of this season, but given that the chance of winning the Constructors' Championship is quite low, I don't want to. I feel like we need to win the Constructors' Championship at some point in this series, and if it's not going to happen in season 2, we will need to do another season to have a chance at that again. So yeah, there's a very high likelihood of a season 3, and that means I need to save money for a new driver at some point, or also re-sign Yuki. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I was very tempted to go for facility upgrades just because it's just sort of the natural thing to do when you have money, but yeah, we're not going to do that. Continue through the timeline now then.
Our new parts have completed without issue. They'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend.
And yes, we are ready to go to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But other than that then, I don't think there's too much else left to cover, so I will say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Feel free to give us some feedback in the comments, it's always very helpful, but other than that, I will see you later. Goodbye.